Okay.
Welcome to Thrive on Thursday, our Thursday night inner journey gathering. I know many of you already know who I am, whether you're in person or on the YouTube meeting and seeing this at a later time. My name's Kevin McGhee. I'm a retired practitioner with Inner Journey Centers for Spiritual Living and Centers for Spiritual Living as a whole. I have chosen to continue to participate and living my truth and showing up as need be. So tonight I want to start the meeting with a prayer in, and I'm going to actually ask Lynn if she would like to pray us in this evening.
We're always asked for prayer, and it's the thing we need the most. So I'm glad you've asked me to do this to open this little meeting tonight. For I know that there is only one, and it is that one that is right here, right now. And in the one, as the one, the expression of the one, all is in peace and calm. All is in divine order. And I know that everything about this meeting tonight comes together in joy and love, information shared, and there is such a peacefulness with all of it. As the three of us sit here tonight, I know that everything is calm, everything is in divine flow and divine order. And as others may join or others that view at a different time, this discussion is watched with joy and in that same peace and calm that is present right here. And so I give thanks for that. And I recognize hearts open, information flows, and it is good and very good. And so I just say thank you. And I let it be. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Reverend Lynn. That was absolutely perfect. So, with the heat of summer, if you're in this part of the world, or the cold of winter, for those that I do know are in other parts of the world where it is wintertime right now, the extremes happen. There's not a lot we can do about them. Part of my conversation with Reverend Sue Ellen earlier today was a little bit of we played a little bit of a word game where I put out a word, she gave me a word back, and it gave me hot, beauty, waterfall, heart, and boat, and lake, and mental were the words given. Excuse me, boat and mental mind were the words that I presented. And those were followed up with dog, beast, beautiful, attack, lake, and connection with God. So taking those words, both the ones I presented and the ones that Reverend Sue Ellen gave back to me from her first word thought, I developed this concept of what it would be like to be in a place of complete peace and calm without feeling the need to control the outer world in a bigger way, or simply in a way that I cannot do. I know the power of prayer and the power of my mind does accelerate a lot of good things to happen that I see, and that sometimes others will see if they're on the same wavelength and energy realm that I am. I also know that no matter how much I want one thing to happen, that if other people aren't on board, that those energies can work against each other. When I was growing up, I always wanted to be something more than I was at the moment. If you will, I wanted to be, I have a prop for this one, a big fish. In a big pond instead of a big fish in a small pond, which is actually what I was when I was growing up, or how it felt to me, because I lived in a very small town in a very rural mentality. And it just, growing up, I always felt at home and I was happy there, and yet it was never big enough. And I wanted there to be so much more, and I knew there was so much more. And so, with that in mind, I take those considerations, and now, 50 years later, into what my life is like now, and how I am still in a pretty rural area now, totally different location and state as far as the United States goes that I lived in growing up, and how I'm not exactly in a small pond because I play on the world stage. I have friends all over the world. I have people that I know all over the world. So that makes me feel like I'm in a much larger pond, but I think I have the influence of a bigger fish than I did when I was younger. I have the ability to touch people's lives. If I'm on my best, I feel that I am giving my best to others to where they get something more from what I'm doing or what I'm presenting or how I present. And this is kind of the topic I want to put out there, because everybody in this day and age has the ability to make an impact. I think it was Dr. Goodall, Jane Goodall, that said, we can all make a difference. The question is, what kind of a difference do you want to make? I think that's the correct quote. Hope I'm not misquoting that. But that basically was what it comes down to. What kind of a difference do we want to make? Do we want to be inspiring? Do we want to be inspiring people to create more, to create new, to create better, to inspire them to do better? Not that there are not enough right now in the moment when they present themselves to us, but what can we do to inspire them to want to be better than they were yesterday or the day before? And how do we show up to encourage that? As any human being, I sometimes find myself getting mired down in the world arena of whatever is happening on a major scale. And I have to remind myself of the truth that we all have the ability to make a difference and an impact. And when we get mired down in the muck and the garbage of whatever is happening, we end up dimming our own light and our own ability to make a difference. And nobody is above anybody else as far as the ability to make a difference in the world. Some of us maybe have been honing it and the skill to do it a little bit more by things that we have read, classes that we've taken, licenses and degrees that we have obtained through our lifetimes and in our lifetimes so far, and things that we have yet to learn or discover. And yet, the simplest of people that haven't done anything, that haven't had any of the classes that I've taken, using myself as the example, can make an impact on somebody's life that's just magnanimous and can make just a world of difference without even realizing it sometimes. And it all boils down to how we show up. Being a big fish in a small pond is not a bad thing when you're making an impact that's a positive and healthy and light inspired impact. And being a small fish in a big pond, you can do the same thing. So it just depends. It doesn't really make any difference whether you're rich or poor, doesn't matter so much about how educated you may or may not be. You can be a degreed person with a college education, and you can be somebody that has a high school education and still make a huge impact in the world. It all comes from, as I said, what Jane Goodall's quote was, is what type of an impact do you want to make in the world around you? And how are you presenting yourself and showing up? And a lot of that has to do with verbiage, the words that we use, how we use them, the format and the outlets that we use also makes a difference. I'm still here, even though my video just turned off. Sorry. So many little things can trigger how we inspire others. There is a longer list, of course, but I think the most important things that always come to mind for me is when I hear something or when I go to say something in response to something happening in the world around me, is what I'm saying, is it true? Have I verified it? Does it lift people up, or is it harming people? Is it going to make a difference if I actually share this with others when I speak or when I'm putting something out into the world? Those are just some of the questions I ask myself before I present, if you will. I have said in the past that the world is like a stage for all of us, and we are on our own unique stage, and we each are the star, the producer, the director. We get to play all the parts in who is on the stage and in the play with us, around us, because our life is like a giant play. And people will come onto the stage and people will move off of the stage, and they all play different roles and different parts in our production, because each one of us and each one of our lives is our own production. And sometimes there are people that are very close to us and are frequently on the stage with us, and it's almost as if we share the same stage in life a lot of times with others. So our stage is their stage. Special people in our lives, hopefully our spouses, hopefully our best friends, the ones that always keep coming back and round and round and round. They're all the people that I think of when I think of we share a joint stage together. And that's just the way I look at life sometimes, is my stage, my production. And as in any production, there are downtimes. And there are times when my life just seems like I'm just done. I need a break. And it's just the stage is dark for a while. And that's okay. Those types of things are good. And then at the same time, the thing that re-inspires me to come back and to inspire others again, or hopefully inspire others again, is somebody that has inspired me when I'm in my dark time, when my stage is dark and I'm like just kind of wandering, spelled with an A, wandering around, trying to find a new inspiring light, I guess, within myself. I think for the most part, the talk tonight for me is just really about inspiration, not only being inspirational, but and inspiring others, but also acknowledging where you get your own inspiration from. There are many times when the light that I know is within me has a tendency to get dimmer, and it just needs to be recharged. And sometimes we can find the ability to recharge ourselves within ourselves. In the past, I have been able to do that. I think more than likely now, I find that there are certain things and people that float in and out of my life and in my experience in life that seem to always be able to reignite my energy levels. Reverend Sue Ellen is one of those people for me. And just because she's on this conversation also makes it easy for me to acknowledge it. My current doctor, medical doctor, my primary, is one that I realized I had an appointment yesterday and everything's fine. It was just a routine checkup. But she is another one that she's such a joy to go and to have my routine checkups with. And she just is such a pleasant person. And she's got a lot of the same energy levels and qualities that I do. And she inspires me. She inspires me to keep being good, keep being healthy, keep taking care of myself. You know, she takes me as the person that I am and not just another number or a chart on her case roll. My husband Brian doesn't realize that he actually inspires me also, even though he seems to annoy the hell out of me sometimes, pardon the expression. But he does, he inspires me also. And that's a positive thing, because some days it's just like, oh my God, a million things to do, and where does it all start or end? So inspiration can come in many forms. And as I try to wrap up this very long-winded talk, I want you each to consider where your inspiration comes from. Where is the source of energy that can reignite that light that's within each one of us? Where is that source of energy for you? Do you have one source? Do you have multiple sources? Are your energy sources from something tangible or something living, like another human being, or even a dog, a cat? You know, it can be anything. Truly, it can be anything. And for some of us, like I said years ago, I found my source was within me, and I could reignite myself by going within and just getting to that point. But times change and things change, and I find now that I draw more from an outside source of energy than always relying on the one within. But as we examine this idea and who or what energizes us, those are the things and the people and the objects to keep close, to protect in your life, so that they are there and they continue to do for you what you must be doing for them. Because anyone that is able, or anything that is able to empower you or me, is also being empowered by you and or me. Because it is truly a full circle on the energy spectrum. It just keeps going round and round, or round and round, depending on which way you're looking at my fingers. So now, with all those thoughts out there and honing in on any particular thing, I'm going to relinquish now to my two guests this evening on the talk, Reverend Sue Ellen and Reverend Lynn, and open the floor for conversation. Thoughts, ideas, additions?
I think it's interesting that you make the comment that whoever inspires you, you must inspire as well. And I don't know that it's necessarily feels so much like inspiration, but support. So when I am there providing support, not potentially inspiration to you, I'm also receiving support back from you. And that feels really good, because I feel supported by you, Kevin, and have for years. And I really feel supported by Lynn as well. So, it's like, okay, two sets of real good, real strong support there, as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know about inspiration. What inspires me? I don't know. I don't know. And I feel like, though, that any of us can be an inspiration, and what comes as inspiration can come from anyone. And it's like when I am reading, which I do a lot of, as you both know, when I'm reading, I can find inspiring or inspirational words in any kind of document that I happen to be reading. So it doesn't make a significant difference. If I'm reading a spiritual book, they might be more inclined to have inspiring words in them, but they mean more when the inspiring words come out of a science fiction novel. All of a sudden, then there's something there that goes, ooh, there's a truth that's made its way into this book for me to read, for me to recognize at that moment. I think it's being open. A piece is to be able to be open to recognizing those truths, those inspirational ideas that strengthen who we are in our connection with spirit, wherever we find them. And sometimes we find them in our pets. Sometimes we find them in our flowers. Sometimes we find them in the grass that's growing, or the rain that's falling, or the wind that's blowing in our hair. They can be anything. They can be anywhere. But we have to be open. And if we're not open, we're not going to see it.
Yeah,
So true.
very true. Music.
In full disclosure, my husband Brian is sitting in the room.
Oh,
He wanted to be an inactive participant tonight.
hello, Brian.
He's gone now. That was his
Okay.
phone.
Bye, Brian. I am I feel very lifted up and supported by this whole group. And the fact that I wish there were more of us that showed up together, but I know that the support is there. And the calls and the emails, and I feel so flaky at times, especially over the last year with how my life has been, but I have always felt comforted that you guys are there, even though I haven't called on you very much. But I know that I can. And that's very big. I am inspired by people who have the ability to make so much out of their lives that are worthwhile, that help people, and that what's the right word? I'm inspired by people that can develop these vocations for themselves and invent little things and come up with things that are really wonderful. And I can't even give you a good example right now, but because I feel like I'm not one of those people yet. I've survived pretty well doing all kinds of things. And I have some other friends that tell me that I inspire them because I just constantly keep moving. But I have to tell you, even though I constantly keep moving, I hit the wall a lot lately and have to take a break. But I'm also having, I think Sue Ellen made a very important comment when she said, there's things coming to us all the time, but you have to be open for it. And and my meditation practice is just out the window right now. I mean, I was so regular every day and going outside and, you know, for this length of time and sitting and having all this stuff, and it was fantastic. And then, like I say, last summer, everything kind of hit the fan and family in and out and all this stuff. And so my life is not the same, but I haven't stopped knowing that that process is always ongoing, whether I'm sitting outside or not. So, and I can do spiritual mind treatment and all kinds of things even while I drive and still end up safe where I'm at my destination. But I am having lots of hits lately, or these things that will happen over here on Tuesday, and then next week or 2 weeks later on a Thursday, another puzzle piece comes together and bam, there's something that is a spark for me to do. Look, I clapped my hands and something happened there on the screen. That's pretty funny. So inspiration, you know, if we, you know, in the classwork in a lot of the classes that we teach, they show how the inspiration comes. And of course, that's the teaching symbol too, right? But I feel like there are waves of things coming into me right now. So there's more inspiration coming from that space, that thing, than there is from watching outside people right now. And I'm loving it. And then it'll be confirmed by somebody else saying something to me, like, and then another couple days later, and it all plays a part. So spirit inspires me in an active way, is actively inspiring me, and I'm getting downloads and hits for things that keep me going. And I do ask for it and I wait for it. And I'm not aware of what it is. I'm not aware when the first puzzle piece comes, but when the second puzzle piece comes, it goes, oh my God, there it is. So that is fun. That to me is also tangible, actually.
Right.
When I've talked about tangible and intangible, when I used to do Sunday talks about God and what happens, I think that stuff is every bit as tangible as the desk that where I'm sitting right now. So
The thing I heard just now also in the connection with what you said and what Sue Ellen said is it can come from different sources, which is what I was speaking on. It doesn't have to be another person. It can be, as Sue Ellen said, the flowers in the garden when you were sitting outside meditating and you were getting that kind of feedback and all of that being outside. But also you said it doesn't necessarily come from people right now. It's coming from other like sources and places, whether it's you just happen to catch the glimpse of a street sign that like something registered on it, some ad that just 2 words on the ad or 1 word or whatever, and then all of a sudden it connects to something else that you see and it makes sense.
right.
So again, inspiration or the support that you're looking for, the thing that reunites you and gets you continuing to move forward is always swirling in and around for all of us. But thank you. That was wonderful.
And we see it if we pay attention to it, if we're open to seeing it. Because if we're not, it'll go right on by. And
True.
you know, and we won't see it. That'll be the one ad in the newspaper we don't read when we're looking for the job. And there it was, but we didn't see it because our mindset wasn't in the right place.
Right.
Well, and that's also for me goes back to being aware and recognizing when I've fallen into that rut pattern or I'm getting mired down in stuff that is not mine to be involved with, or I'm giving too much power. You know, I have to see that in myself and acknowledge it and see it and go, oh wait, and pull my own reins back and say, this isn't where I'm at. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. This isn't part of the equation for me.
Not
And
mine.
sometimes that wakes me up to realizing that I'm missing something or that I'm not seeing, being aware of something I'm not seeing.
Yeah.
In relation to what you were just saying, Sue Ellen, also.
Yes.
So Anything else? Any other
Well,
amazing wonderful thoughts?
I'm interested to know what is your first reaction to the word hot? What's your first response?
Oh, you want the first
Yeah.
response?
Yeah,
Oh,
when you said hot, I said dog.
yes, you did.
Summertime hot dog. What's your response to
um, I was thinking of literally the temperature of the world at the moment, not just only in temperature and heat, but just the um socio-political aspect of what's going on around the world right
and that's
now.
in one word.
Not
Dot.
just in our own country.
Yeah.
But yeah, in one word, it would be temperature.
Okay. Or
But
climate.
so
Okay.
you're
What would yours be, Lynn? The word hot.
Oh, after listening to you two now, it would have been temperature, the same thing, and that is probably the worst thing I would have thought of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beauty was the second word.
Lynn, go ahead.
I had the most bizarre word come into my head as soon as you said that.
Yeah.
It was incline.
Incline.
I'm sorry. What's the first?
Inclined or incline?
It inclination, that kind of word.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how that relates, but literally that is the first word that popped into my head.
Okay. Kevin.
Beauty for me was immediately a flower.
See, what I got out of it was beast. Beauty
Yeah.
and the Beast. Waterfall.
Ooh. Beauty.
For
I
me,
got
it was,
Go ahead.
huh?
Go
For me,
ahead.
it was music.
Okay. I got beautiful. That's the word that came to me. Heart.
Soul.
I like that.
Heart and soul.
And
Yep.
mine was love.
Okay. So mine was attack, but my boss was standing right beside me on his way to the heart hospital to do exercises because he's in some kind of a program because of his heart attack. You know, it's the circumstances. I would have gone with something different had he not been standing there. We'd not been having this conversation about what he was going to do next. You know, I mean, it's like, okay,
Wow.
yes. And then the last one was mind or mental.
No, the next one was boat.
Oh, I'm sorry, boat. You're right.
Various things in there. So what was the word?
Boat.
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 Yes.
Water. River.
And for
Child.
me, it was Titanic.
And I went lake. So you know, I'm with you with the boat in the water. So
And the last one was mental and health. Mental/mind was the last one.
Busy.
Okay. I came up with connected to God.
Connection with God, yes. And for me, when I said it, I was immediately thinking of healthy.
Healthy.
A healthy mind connection kind of thing.
Okay.
So, as we think about all these words and the play on words, if you will, and how each one of us came up with slightly different variations or reasonings for the same word, perhaps, they were all inspired. From what point of or source of power, who knows? I know that earlier when I did this exercise with Swellen on the phone with the words, she said once she got to the a certain word, she was fully engaged in the process. And the first couple of ones were like, it's a slow start. I think that goes back into what I was saying, was sometimes when we get off track a little bit in our lives, it's a couple of slow starts to get us going again. Lynn, regarding your getting away from meditating or taking the time for yourself to meditate, getting back to it is a slow start, but it's possible if that's what you need to be doing again.
Mhm.
That's up for you to decide, of course. Being on the positive instead of the negative spectrum for me is also something that I have to re-engage myself into, always looking for the positive and the positive outcomes. Not that I don't do it anymore, I just don't practice as much as I used to. I don't fall to that nature as much as I used to. And again, that's my life has changed a lot over the years, in the past few years, that have taken me away from things that are not necessarily healthier, but at the same time, they were good for me at that point, and I need to get back to some of them or figure out how to reincorporate parts of them back into my life. So this is all the ways and means of daily living and choices made. And truly being healthy, happy, mentally, spiritually, all of those things are a choice. So as I wrap up the evening, before we do a little prayer work out, we are supported fully and completely in our journey through donations and tithes. The word tonight is love. The number is printed there. I'm sure you can see it.
Well, you're
And
missing the 4.
anything is very appreciated. The number is 405-337-9739. And if you text love, that will show that I was the one that you were on the meeting with me as the lead. And that's a wonderful thing. And thank you in advance. So at the moment, Sue Ellen, would you like to pray us out?
Yeah, be patient with me as I move the message off the screen. I have a message that an unauthorized app has been removed, but I keep getting the message. If you removed it, just fine. I didn't want it. I didn't authorize it. So you see this passed to me with it on there.
Don't click on
I didn't.
it.
The message, it pops up in the middle of Zoom. So I take a breath and recognize that there is only God, even in the irritating messages. It's just God trying to get my attention somehow or some way. God is all there is. And so I know that as the power that is God is everywhere present, it's in and through and as everything that exists. And right here and right now, it's in this conference call. God is expressing through each of us. And I know that as we go away from here, we do so with an expanded awareness of who we are and how we individually work in this great big thing out there that we call life, that is God. And I love that. I feel like this time is always worthwhile. And I give thanks for Kevin for leading this session, for Lynn for showing up, and for everybody out there who watches this at some point in the future. And I certainly give thanks for any contribution. I give thanks for the opportunity to be and to grow in our journey, one voice at a time, one prayer at a time, one mind at a time. It's all God. It's all good. And I am so grateful as I release this prayer into the law, knowing it is done. And so it is.
And so it is.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Let me
Thank
turn
you.
this off. Evan, you want to give it
Thank
the
you, everyone here and in the future.
Whoops. Maybe.